The leaves are falling fast and autumn has faded. The forecast is for a hard winter of souping snow and ringing frost. It is a time when city people hurry home, heads down, cursing the weather, the long days of summer forgotten. But for some men, winter's only another season, bleak, cold, but not unwelcome. This week's report is about a countryman come to town after a lifetime in the fields and on the farms of Scotland. His name is Bob Harris.
It's exactly 5 years this morning since I started in the parks. And, well, I think if you'd asked me 5 years ago, would I still be in the parks, I don't think I could have said aye, but I didn't think then, nor for a gay long while, ever I could have stuck it. But you have to do money, I think, you've just to do with things whilst they'll do with use. Lifting leaves, just generally cleaning up, out to the main if they have rubbish lifting it, and maybe have to go for tools for them. It's a slacker time of the year, but there's always plenty of work to do, more especially if you're willing to do it, so you can always see it. And we have George Square to go to clean the buckets, we've the College of Commerce to go to clean up there. No, and there's motorways, you've rubbish in the motorways that they just put men's there and have it in heaps, and you go and you gather it up. You have to be careful in the motorways, you've always to obey the laws, take out your cones, put them up. I went to the garage this morning and I had got a new tractor, and I was finding it a wee bit awkward to work for this. When you want it to go slow, it wouldn't have mattered if you'd been yourself. You could you maybe wouldn't have thought in these things, but you find that this morning gears were just that wee bit stiff.
It was on the third landing of a crumbling tenement building that Bob Harris and his family first put their roots down in a city. To start with, he returned every night to Gartaharn, where he last worked on a farm, night after night and every weekend. Then gradually the city tightened her grip.
The noise was, for 2 years at least, a big problem. To be standing at Castle Street, where the lights and all the motors driving up, if you were working there, it was bedlam. I used to think money to them, is this really worth it? To stick this after what you've been used to. But I'm here yet. But it was here that I spent my boyhood days. Most of the men at Colburn were all miners. But at that time it was the kind of depression, and some of them would come out and maybe have a job at a farm just for a couple of months, and the pit would get better again, and back they would go again. It was a nice place then. There were 5 families in the one row, and then further down there were the 2 cottages with 2 families, with many a cheery night, although we're 5 miles for the nearest town. This is the place where I was born 60 years ago, in a box bed in here. With father and 4 brothers all in the pits, the tin baths and the flare for them getting washed. With many a cheery night here though, my mother always kept an open door, like the fellas and lasses all round about could all come here if they wanted. She even kept the tramps at the door. Colburn then would hardly do for the style of living nowadays. It was only rooms and kitchen, no toilets, no nothing. You care at the water, there was a well away at the foot of the brae. There was a way down there, I went to the Skill, along past Auchengie Wood on the right yonder. 3 miles there and 3 miles back. 3 miles down through the field and along to the Skill, and we had to go it wet and dry. And my father, for a long time before it, folk for to try and get a motor to take the wains for Colburn and district to the Skill. I never was that keen of the Skill. I liked it best when it was on holiday. It was a great place then, but many a time going to the Skill, there's a brig just down for a bit, or a good hidey hole. Many a time I had my books there and plunked it away back to the Fairmer again. And many a time I paid for it though, I got belted many a time, but
These fields in the gloom of early morning were once black with miners walking to work. Now the pits are finished, and the communities which once sang with life are barely memories. Bob's school too has gone.
Here is our school we went to. Here is the playground. There were 4 classes in it. I never really liked it, school, but when I was there, I could stick in. Unfortunately, my twin brother was in the forefront. He could lift first prize, so I had to be content with second. Even at that, I could manage at something. There'd be about 35 to 40 in the class, mix. Boys, so many boys, so many lasses. There were 5 years at the Skill, and we're all at the legal Skill folk. They used to say, it's just the legal Skill, it's just a wee Skill. We committed with 33 prizes. But it was here, at this farm here, I first came to a wee boy 55 years ago. And when I got to the age of 12, I stayed slept with a bairn at night and went to the school for here just. We'd get up in the mornings and we'd feed calves or feed hens and come back home at night and kept always a lot of young horse. We'd put them in and we'd get the hay run into the stables to feed the horse for the men coming in. Long hours in the days, it was just morning to night, daylight to dark. My first job when I was 14, I left the school at the beginning of the summer holidays. Just before I was 14, I left. It was the 30th of June, and the next morning, the 1st of July, we started work. As we were only paid twice a year in these days, £5, that was £1 a month, and your keep.
The way of life at Fairmer has changed since the days when Bob was a supple lad, taking his turn at mucking out the byre, harnessing the horses for the ploughing. An acre a day was a long, hard drudge. Or maybe he was preparing to shaw the neeps on a cold winter's morning in November. But more than Fairmer has changed.
It was terrible, Joy taking polio, but it took us a long while before we would make up our minds Joy wasn't going to walk. But herself, I think, was the best thing because her courage, she went to school. I think, when she left school, she was 3 days to she had her first job. Sisters worked in the town and they'd take her to the town and bring her back. And if their sisters weren't there, there were a girl in the town would get her. But everybody rallied round and Joy with her own courage, and we got on.
You're now over 60, Bob. How difficult is it for you to come with Joy and visit her sister Margaret, who lives up all these tenement stairs?
Oh, well, it's not getting on easier as the years goes on, but we managed to get up a little bit blow in the stair now and again. We come in at the first and to get Joy to her work, well, I had to take her chair and get down the stairs in the morning and set it ready, then come back up and get her bags and take them down, and then come back up and get Joy herself there. Just with a few warnings going down the stair to take your time or be careful. I got there and then light up the pipes, enjoy your cigarette, and away we set, so we get through George's, crossed for Buchanan Street, and then I had to meet my wife for main work at 8 o'clock.
These stairs then are the big strain, especially when you first came to town, weren't they?
Aye, it was a big strain, but the biggest strain was in my legs. The climbing up and down the tenement stairs, you had the 60 up, the 60 down, 3 times a day, and then you had that at night again, and I wonder what was wrong. I wonder what was wrong with my legs when I come in at the first bit. So I got used to it, and just had to struggle on.
Margaret, you were one of Joy's 2 sisters, and have always been close to her. How do you manage when you're both together by yourselves?
Well, we manage quite well. We go for walks in the park, and then we go shopping. And quite a few days we go up the town and go into the big shops up the town. Been to the pictures and things like that as well. We always got on quite well.
And how do you manage with the stairs, and especially stairs like these tenement stairs?
Oh, well, when she comes over here, the wee boys, our own wee boys, always with her, and we bring him up first, and he waits here, and I go back down and then bring Joy up, and then go back down for the chair. And by the time you're up, you're absolutely exhausted. You're not fit for anything then, but we always manage.
My father, he come from Preston, and he was a pit head worker, and he worked in the pits all his days up here, and all my brothers, they went to the 4 of them, but I never had the notion of the pits. I mean, the day my brother died in the pit accident, Seaforth, he got a terrible explosion. His neighbour was badly burnt, but Ted was just, he was flung back, got a fresh day, but he was staying home and was in the house on the Monday night, and I heard the doctor saying to him, take a week off his work. Well, no, I says, if I take a week off my work, I'll know the nerve to get back down, and it's my bread and butter. I was in Dumfries and burned down there when the time of the war, because we were out of it. They wouldn't listen to us, and so we joined the Home Guard, and I mind finally with the go an hour in the morning, half an hour in the darkness, half an hour in the daylight, in early mornings. 2 us with a rifle each, with no bullets. A lot of good that would have done if the Germans had have come. But it was good fun. Queer to be driving down Glasgow with your tractor after you to the quiet countryside. You see a lot. You see all folk, it's feared to cross the road. Folks running and hurrying, motors is bashing on. You'd wonder what the hurries for, whether it's they're needing to go that way. They're missing a lot. To me, it's no life at all. It's just all rush and bash to get somewhere in a hurry. The job I like best, and I think it's a great thing to see, is the trees in the town, because you can run them with a barrel and water, and start Sauchiehall Street, Cathedral Street, and right round. And you see whilst damage been done to them, but you just sort them out, a report that's been done, and the men will go and sort it up, and you water away at them again.
John Murray is District Superintendent for Kelvin Grove and has wider responsibilities than merely ensuring the park is attractive. He also looks after the trees and plants in George Square and other streets. How difficult, John, is it to get trained personnel?
Yes, we'll have a job at times, right enough, but I must say though, the staff that I have just now, although they're from the city, really are very good boys. Of course, men with the likes of Bob's experience have the advantage having been raised in the country, as it were. Since the war, of course, all the big estates have been closed down, and we have a job to get trained men for our type of work. But the department runs all sorts of courses to help in this all the time. We look after a broad section of the centre of the city. Apart from the park, we look after George Square, Thompson Street, Buchanan Street, the motorways that are in the centre of the city, such as the motorway at in Townhead, Woodside, Charing Cross, and right down into Kingston. We are trying to bring the country into the city because the city is such a drab place. We're always hearing about Glasgow being a drab and dirty city. We're attempting to bring the country into the city, and the people are accepting this, and vandalism is at a minimum, as far as I've found, in the central city anyway.
The buckets stay clean, and times we have to get in and we plants on this. The square is kept near perfection as possible among flowers, and you'll have some of them to take down. Or generally my job is to go down when they're planting the trees, and I'd lift all the rubbish after and all the stuff that's to go back to the yard.
You and your husband, Vinnie, are sharing a small flat in pretty cramped circumstances with your parents. Are there any special difficulties, Joy?
Not a great many, just an odd time we fall out about certain things. We get around for leaving the lights on and leaving doors open, things like that. They're not really all that many difficulties. I can do the dishes and vegetables, do the ironing, see to the baby.
Are you able to put Michael to bed?
Oh, yes.
Joy, you got polio when you were 3. Can you remember anything before the illness?
No, nothing at all.
You don't remember
No, nothing.
the early days?
Anything, no.
It must have taken great courage to carry on as normal a life as possible.
Well, I've never known any other kind of life, and I do good family and parents to help me get through it.
What was school like? Did you manage to have any fun apart from sticking in at your lessons?
Well, I was never very fond of lessons, to be truthful. But I always enjoyed it quite well. Had quite a lot of good friends.
And when you got your first job, altering dresses, you had to travel from Killarn to Glasgow. How did you manage that?
Well, my mummy put me in the bus in the morning, and there was a girl I worked beside, met me off the bus. I left at 7 in the morning, didn't get back till about after 6 at night. It was a bit long.
I was only taking Joy out and having a good time, and we always enjoyed one another's company. And it came as quite a surprise to me when one night, I think I had one over the 8, and I said, "Would you marry me?" And the next Saturday I met her, she said, "Did you really mean what you said last week?" I said, "Well, what did I say?" So I think, I was a bit fuddled, and she said, "You said you wanted to marry me." I said, "Did I say that?" I said, "Would you marry me?" She said, "Yes." And I didn't believe it at first. And I was really surprised when she said she would, and that was it.
My mother had a home bakery and tea shop, and he used to hang about there quite a bit. I think it was the soda scones that he was after. And rhubarb jam, he used to be very fond of that. And that's really when we met. Well, it was really very happy. It was really a very happy life on the farms. We were up early in the mornings, and Bob used to be on the plough at the beginning, and then he went on to the dairy, and it was really a good life. It was lonely, but we quite enjoyed it. I wanted to move into Glasgow because my family were all married. and living more or less in Glasgow, you know, and I felt it would be too lonely in Clare without the family. Bob wasn't very keen about it at the beginning. I spent all my life with Joy and Michael. That's really my life now. Because of Michael, of course. He's a miracle baby. And it was a bit of a worry at the beginning. It was a tremendous worry for me being a mother. And I used to think, oh my God, this is a terrible thing, you know. But now it's really very worthwhile. He's such a splendid little boy. He's my life, really.
If Bob was left to himself, do you think he would hightail it back to the country?
Yes, I think he probably would. You never did like the town all that much, did you?
No, I never liked the town that much. I mean, if I'd no responsibilities, I would go back, but I would miss the Grand Wains. Well, we've come in the town and we're seeing them every day, and the wee chaps wears in the house. It would be a terrible... Well, you just couldn't think it without it. If he's even out the house, the new for a night, the house is just no use. It's almost worthwhile living in the city just to see what Glasgow folk really miss. At least a good lot of them anyway. Is to go up onto York Hull. You can see for miles. You can see hulls away in the distance, and to get up there and just meet with some of the old folk that stay about that can just really tell you this was this and that was that. They're no longer there. It's really worth it.
The quiet peace of the country and the noisy bustle of the city meet in the parks of Glasgow. Although in many ways they're as different as night from day, as different as Bob Harris is from the city-bred man. Bob comes from an age of different values, from a background shaped by the land and the weather, where patience was a way of living. He still believes that work is a virtue, and that people would learn more if they kept their mouths shut and their eyes open. The hurrying city will never be for him, but he has found kindness here and a sort of peace. The film cameraman was Bill Scott, his assistant Ron Wilkins, sound recordist Harry Brooks, dubbing mixer Gary Coleman, film editor Ian Mackenzie, written and presented by Mike Grieve and directed by Richmond Harding.